about some superhero aficionados. This is the Heroes and Mutants podcast. I'm Nick with my co-hosts
Josh and Ruben. You already know. What up, what up?
Jimmy unfortunately couldn't be with us today. He's here in spirit. He will be back on next episode.
He's
but
a ghost?
Is he what?
He's a ghost?
He's a ghost. He's a ghost in the machine.
Where are you, Jimmy?
He's a ghost of Christmas spirit.
If you see a shadow behind us, that's him.
And obviously I'm the only one who came.
Frolicking through.
Obviously I'm the only one who came in spirit, so I got the Santa hat, and we just want to take this chance to really wish you guys Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We got a very awesome Christmas themed episode, so are you guys ready to dive in?
Yeah, I am without a doubt.
So first topic of today, what is your favorite superhero Christmas story? Could be comics, games, movies, shows, whatever.
Fuck, that's actually a good one. Damn, I don't know. Let me check it real quick. Ruben?
Well, I remember mine. It would have to be an animated series. It would have to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I forget which one is.
What's it called? From the one on Fox, right?
It has to be. If I'm not
that's the one when we were kids. The one before we weren't even born yet.
So the main storyline about it is when when Mikey supposedly, the rest of the brothers are just getting prepared for for Christmas, decorating, getting whatever they had to do to celebrate.
Yeah.
But I guess there's some toys that were donated for a toy drive that get stolen. So Mikey, instead of being with the rest of the family, to do whatever they gotta do, help prepare for Christmas, he goes on the mission on his own, a solo mission to go help stop what's going on and all that stuff. So I think that was pretty cool, just because of the fact that just a toy drive. It was donated toys, and I felt like he did it for the kids and stuff like that. So
I'm trying to remember that episode. I really wanted to go back and rewatch that series.
It's been that long, dude.
It's been that long, dude. It's been that long.
I haven't really gotten stuck on what's it called. It's called Christmas Weekends? No.
It's called which one?
No, I thought that was the one he was talking about.
So I'll go next then, just to give Josh a little bit more time to recuperate and think of the best story that seemed to overwhelm him during this spirit of Christmas. So the one for me is actually a comic tie-in from Batman the Animated Series. It was written. It was called Batman: The Batman Adventures, and it was predominantly. It was written by Paul Dini and Glenn Murakami, and it was what they had a comic tie-in for January 1995, because they had what was called a Batman Adventures Holiday Special. So this one had 4 different tales. It had like Poison Ivy. It had Harley in that same episode working together. They Harley or Poison Ivy brainwashed Bruce or seduced Bruce with her powers and got him to have them go on a shopping spree. So there was a lot of really good episodes that was a tie into Batman the Animated Series, but the one that I wanted to focus on was called White Christmas. So on this one, it actually dealt with Mr. Freeze breaking out of Arkham and he got this machine to where he's this gun that was able to blanket the whole city of Gotham and entrap it in snow. Because it was kind of like a weird. The cool thing was there wasn't really a whole lot of. You kind of learn bits and pieces as you go along, and the story really serves as a purpose of, you don't really feel any sympathy or any kind of compassion towards Mr. Freeze, because when it starts off and when Batman goes to Arkham to ask the doctors what's going on or what happened, how exactly did he break out, and the doctors just don't. The lead doctor that he talks to just doesn't have any sympathy or any kind of acknowledgement or any kind of worry towards Mr. Freeze. It's just oh, well, he went crazy when he had heard that Gotham, there was going to be no snow until January. So, and she's just kind of she just has kind of contempt for him. It doesn't really have any kind of understanding on an empathetic level. So, and then also too, you see Mr. Freeze is almost causing, people to die because the drivers they can't see in the snow, and then the streets are very slippery, so drivers are swerving and almost hitting each other, and he's the cops are frozen in their cars. So what Glenn Murakami and Paul Dini do, they do a really good job of building up to this to where you don't feel anything for him. And the way they have Mr. Freeze, and Batman follows him to a cemetery, and they're kind of fighting, and Mr. Freeze knocks Batman back, and he knocks him into a grave, into a headstone. And then it turns around and you come to find out that it's actually Bruce Wayne's. It's actually Martha and Thomas Wayne. A wreath falls down, a Christmas wreath, and it actually says from, and he takes the time, like he actually picks it up and he puts it back, and there's this moment of he just had to or he was actually acting as Bruce and not Batman, so he goes back to fighting and he destroys the machine, and he's actually about to hit Mr. Freeze again, and then he just stops and throws the machine. He's just like, because of today, it's Christmas Eve, I don't want to fight, I don't want to hurt you, but just let me know, like, what are you doing this for, Freeze? Like, why did you do this? Like, you were a model citizen in Arkham before all this, and you just, like, all of a sudden broke out. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you doing this? And then he has this really great moment to where he turns and he points to a tombstone, and it's Nora Freeze, his wife. So he goes on to say that he did what he did because he essentially was, him and Nora had gotten married 10 years ago on Christmas Eve, and it was a white Christmas. So he had said that he didn't want his Nora to be without snow because he had found it sad. So what this whole thing does is it really builds up to this moment to like where you're not feeling any sympathy or any kind of acknowledgement, any kind of compassion or empathy for this character. And he even says too, he had just said like, I found it to be, and then period, sad.
Okay.
And it changes Batman's perspective on it because he's actually at that point, he's finally able to empathize with this character because they're both two people that have gone through overwhelming circumstances, and they are the people that they are because of the fact that they've had tragedy strike them. Batman, it took him towards the way of becoming a protector, becoming someone to a vigilante, becoming a hero. But Mr. Freeze, it drove him to do everything he could to try to save his wife, and then when she died, it was just his moment to really shine, not really shine, but so much as have this moment to where he didn't really understand everything that it was just his own thing. Like it only made sense to him. Like I just really wanted to have this be a moment that I could share with my wife, or have it. I didn't want her to be without this moment because this is what it ends very beautifully too, because after that you just see a shot of Batman and Mr. Freeze walking off, and he's actually like has his hand on them, and it could be just he's leading him, but also a sign of empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Like I think Paul and Glenn do this really amazing job to where you are just like, oh, this guy's reckless. He's endangering all these innocent lives during Christmas. Why is he doing this? Like, no, Batman, take him down by whatever means. Like whoop his ass, beat him down. And then it just really builds up to that moment to where it wasn't about him doing it for the matter of trying to make more money because he's selfish or greedy or trying to escape, but it was just, I just felt that it was sad that Nora was without a white Christmas. And it's, it's really one of those moments like, damn, you're not expecting this gut punch and taking you to Fieldsville. And this is also something that goes in line to why Freeze is one of the better written characters, and the Batman the Animated Series, Paul Dini, they really written him in that manner to a tragic villain. So it was just really one of those moments for me that, out of all the stories that they had in this, what was Batman and the Batman Adventures as that tie-in, it was just one of those moments that really was the most, it just was the most emotional, and it just hit you the hardest. And then it really just stands off as like one of those reasons why, if you're talking about a great villain, definitely you got to go with Mr. Freeze because of that. And it was just one of those moments that it really touched me. And yeah, it's hard to explain from there, but yeah, that's definitely something you guys need to watch out. And you guys need to read the Batman Adventures too, that comic tie-in, because there's just so many great stories in there. But
catch up on so much stuff.
Yeah, that's a great one.
A lot of stuff too.
You gotta rewatch a lot.
What about you, Josh?
I've heard of that, and then I've seen yours, but just don't clearly remember. I have heard of yours, but haven't seen it.
The one that I was talking about is the Christmas Alien season 3.
So I did name it right.
It does sound familiar.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? Did you have Awakening?
Well, for Christmas, the closest thing that I could think of, just because it's like the most recent show that I've been watching, and it's not animated, it's actually live action, but it was The Flash. It was a mid-season finale. It was like a huge ass shit.
I do remember.
Barry ends up fighting. He ends up finally clashing with Reverse Flash, telling him what's the reason why his mom died, and then basically we already know that
Yeah.
Harrison Wells is Reverse Flash. So he's taunting Barry, telling him all this information. Like, he really knows them, and just tells him is like, your destiny is to lose to me, just like it was your mom's destiny to die.
I remember that episode because that was honestly one of the better seasons for that Arrowverse.
Yeah, it was.
Because of that fact of all of that, it was just so well written.
Yeah. And then also what comes into play there is Ronnie, which is Caitlin's boyfriend that she thought died during the accelerator.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding out that he actually became a metahuman. I forgot his name, but he basically inspired Firestorm. Yeah.
Well, he merged with Dr. Stein
Later on
you come to find like he's walking around, but he kind of doesn't really remember because he was merged with Martin Stein, so he kind of is.
I don't. Where is he?
Yeah, he merged with Martin.
Yeah, he merged.
I thought he merges later. No, Stein merges with somebody else.
Stein merges with Joshua. Is it Jackson or?
No, Josh Jackson is from. What is it? The Mighty Ducks.
Well, that's an actor, but there's also I think that his name is something Jackson. Jackson something.
Yeah.
He was the second part, so he's the.
Okay,
the second
Firestorm.
The second Firestorm.
Yeah, that one. I mean, at the time when I was watching it, that one's like the most intriguing because I was like, it hit so many climaxes where Caitlin finds the man that she thought she lost. Barry finally confronts Reverse Flash. Iris is having her own thing with her man, where he gives her the key in order to move in, but Barry ends up telling her how she feels. It's like, bro, really you waited that long? She just got the key to his house, and you're telling her how much you feel. And then I believe that episode is when Cisco he thinks he sees himself dying by Harrison Wells because they trap him in the force field.
Yeah.
And come to find out, it wasn't even the real Reverse Flash. But yeah, I think
was it a time remnant?
Yeah, a time remnant.
But that was that also the episode where you realized that Harrison Wells was the Reverse Flash?
No, that's later. That's like a couple. That's the next season. And not like the next episode's after that.
Oh, I thought it was that. But that was a great season. That was like a great build up too. It wasn't one of those episodes that it revolves so much around the holidays, but it was just so much. It was a great episode, so much that I can see why.
Yeah, it was. That's a good one. Caught me at that time.
So then, what we were saying too, the other Firestorm was actually Jefferson Jackson.
Jackson.
Just for clarity.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be mine. Flash had a lot of moments. The last season with Sator, what is it? Savitar. When she finds out she's pregnant, the freaking Joe's wife, the freaking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good episodes.
But as far as that, I think that was definitely the best season that was ever written as far as on the Arrowverse. It was so good.
That was really good.
Storylines were great. The villain was great. The twists were great. It's hard to really get a good twist right.
Is Nora back?
Nah, Nora's dead.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you check out season 1 of Flash. It's great.
Yeah, I just gotta watch it. Yeah, the good thing about that show and what I like and I find the most interesting is that every new episode of the Flash has new characters, has new metahumans every episode.
Yeah.
As for Arrow, when it comes to it, it's only one main villain the whole season, and that's how it just prolongs itself. As for Flash, it's like every episode he's fighting a metahuman, just figuring out his powers even more.
Yeah.
It's good seeing the development of him. Come on, Mr. Shoot.
I'm surprised actually. No, I'm surprised none of you said Shazam or Batman Returns.
Yeah, but I was gonna say Batman Returns, but I couldn't really explain it as much because I don't really clearly remember.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I saw the Flash, I was like, oh shit! The whole episode came back to me.
Yeah,
I was like, gotta rewatch it again.
The only reason I said that was because we're doing that poll obviously on IG.
Shazam.
Batman Returns versus Shazam, and everybody.
I chose Batman.
It was like it's 75-25% for Batman Returns, but it makes sense because of that fact Shazam is still new.
Yeah.
And when you think of a superhero Christmas movie, as far as in the mainstream, you can't really compete with anything else besides Batman Returns. And I think the whole thing of like that aesthetic with Gotham City and Tim Burton's visuals, it really just goes hand in hand with Batman, and I think he was more suited for that kind of environment. Those are great movies also. Shazam, Batman Returns, that Ninja Turtles episode, Flash season 1, mid-season finale, and then White Christmas, the tale that was written for the tie-in for Batman, the animated series. Make sure you guys read, watch, and listen to it all because it's really great Christmas material.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for sure.
Bet you in the
holiday
holiday
spirit right now. Yeah.
So moving on now. there's been some developments as far as season 3 of Titans. It's not something that I could find that was a for sure thing or that for sure what they were going for, but it's just what's been updated as far as what other sources have been saying. So it was earlier reported by the Illuminati that Tim Drake is coming to season 3 of Titans and that he would be of a different ethnicity, with producers looking for an 18-year-old South or East Asian actor to play a 16, 17-year-old Tim Drake who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. But now it's being reported that WB is looking for an African-American actor and that the alleged inspiration is the Black Lives Matter movement. Do you guys think that this is a good move, or does it sound a little like pandering?
I mean, they're just trying to go with, like you said, and
keep up with the times.
And the time that we're at now, we've noticed that a lot of stuff has become more acceptable. So now that everything is more acceptable, I feel like these brands, Disney, Marvel, they're kind of just trying to. Well, that's just my opinion. They're just trying to make money off of it. I mean, we already saw Marvel do a lot of the girl power stuff, so like that goes to go with the Me Too movements, like girl power. We're seeing like gays now become part of the Marvel industry, like in the Marvel world, where we're starting to see those characters. So where I feel like,
or even like the DC too now they have the first female-led superhero show with Batwoman.
They just want to show the diversity that they have, because in the comic book world that we have, there are a lot of characters. Like every specific character has like maybe 1 or 2 people portraying that character. So I mean, it's a smart idea, especially like you said, since they're going with the Black Lives Matter and showing diversity.
I agree with you. I think they're just going with the times, keeping up with the times. But I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it's 50-50 for me in a way, because because think about it. All right, so when it comes to a movie or TV role or something, I do want them to hire the best actor for the role. It doesn't matter, if you're gonna get backlash for it being alright, so now that's going into fair. I'll get to that right now. But so what I want to say is that as long as they get the acting right, that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter what the race it is. As long as they get the right actor to portray the role, that's all that matters. But what I also like too is I always talk about where a movie or TV has to go coincide or stay parallel close to the stories of comics. So I don't know in the comics if there has been Tim Drake with a different ethnicity in the comics.
Not as far as Tim. The only thing, a lot of people, it seemed like more people were reacting to the fact that they were going to make Tim black or African American as opposed to him being South or East Asian, which they seemed on board with it because of the fact if they were going to see Tim of a different race that wasn't white, then they could see him as Asian. So nobody, it's not like people are up in arms. They're kind of just questioning the legitimacy or the timing of it because of the fact it seems like they're kind of pandering because of that demographic, especially if the source is right on the alleged inspiration was the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm all for it. That's good. That's what I'm saying. I'm all for it. That was one of my questions, because my next point to that topic is that because people, even when it comes to other movies and all that stuff, when say they're playing a Latina or an Asian or an African American, right? And they hire another ethnicity to portray that role, they always give them backlash and all that stuff. So I just don't want that to happen with like, hey, so why I don't want them to put that movement into the casting. Especially like why are you giving backlash to other freaking
right.
castings, right? When they're not using the ethnicity that should be portraying the role. Yeah. But then the way we've grown up too in comics, we haven't seen a Tim Drake or read of a Tim Drake of a different ethnicity. Right. But that's what I'm saying. I'm all for it. But that's why I agree with Josh. I think they're just going for the move. It goes both ways. That's what I'm saying. It's not good or bad. It just depends on how you see it in your eyes. Yeah. Because I think it's a good move, because times are changing, and not every role has to be, a white actor. Yeah. And it shouldn't be a white actor every time, no matter what role you're going to portray.
Well, especially just with the Robins, because obviously the 4 main Robins are Dick, Jason, Tim, and Damon. They're all white. Yeah. And the way Tim is written, if you look at certain artistic designs for him, he does seem at times like he's Asian, or if he was going to be anything, like people would kind of be like, hey, he kind of looks Asian. Is he Asian? And also too, Ryan Potter, who plays Beast Boy, actually auditioned made a concept video of him as Robin fighting several stunt guys. He was campaigning for Tim Drake Robin back in like 2016. So this was a little bit before he was cast as Beast Boy. But the only thing with this is, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing at all. It's just the only thing is where I think I have a little bit of a dilemma or a little bit of an issue with is that matter of, are they doing it? Kind of feels like pandering because they're doing it for the sake of, oh, well, we're woke, or oh, we care about you guys, so this is why we're gonna have an actor whoever a character is normally portrayed as white or has been drawn as white since the beginning of his inception. We're gonna have him black because we care about you guys, or we want to be diverse. So I just don't like this idea of being diverse for diversity's sake, because
they should do it just
because they want to do it.
It's like the good thing about I think a good thing about this is like Miles Morales. You know, they weren't gonna go ahead and make a black Peter Parker. They just went and made another character who had his own identity, who was separate from Peter Parker. Yes, they're both Spider-Man, but obviously then their difference is that Miles grew up with a family. His parents genuinely loved him, but he still had his own way of going about being Spider-Man. Had different powers, and I think that's kind of the good thing.
And that's where the backlash always comes in, like you said, like they're doing it for the time.
Or even they're gonna face that no matter what, because people are gonna be upset. Like, wait, why are they making a black Spider-Man, or why are they making a black Peter Parker? Not realizing that this is Miles Morales. And so, in the only thing that I was gonna say about that was because of that fact. That's just something that it feels like, and especially because if they wanted to do, we want to make a Black Robin. Well, you have Duke Thomas. Duke Thomas is still relatively new to the Batman mythos. He had only been around since like 2014. I don't know if you guys are aware of the We Are Robin storyline, when a bunch of kids got up and out of inspiration for Robin, and they were actually secretly supplied by Alfred, who was known as the Nest. He was their supplier, and motivated, encouraging them to go on and do that to help protect the city. They had a group of what they were called We Are Robin, and Duke Thomas was pretty much the leader. Not only that, but he became an unofficial Robin, and he pretty much got all of the respect from Dick, because Dick had trained him personally, but Dick, Jason, Tint, Damian, and Bruce, they all respected him, and they all thought that he was a good addition to the Bat family. Yeah. And that's why you guys see he kind of has like the yellow costume, where you see like he also is known as the Signal, so he's actually a metahuman too, but he has an interesting backstory and separate from any of the other Robins, and that was the cool thing about it. Like, it wasn't something so much to where they were trying to make a Robin who is black without this, just because they wanted to do it. Oh, well, we're woke, or we want people to know that we're diverse, so that we're taking into consideration their thoughts their feelings on why are all the Robins white, and doing it in a way of crafting a good story that is separate from all of the other Robins, and doing it in a way to, this kid was troubled, dealing with his parents and having a lot of issues, but still kind of still rising to the occasion. Like, he's got a great backstory as far as a new character. He's only been around 6 or 7 years, so in my head, it wouldn't. Yes, it's one of those things. It wouldn't have been something that made a whole lot of sense for the fact of he hasn't been around that long, and if you were going to do another, but it would make sense in the matter of they're creating their own storyline with it. Maybe they don't have to do Tim right now. Maybe they can do him in the future, but there's this character who already has that identity, and you don't have to change it. So if you wanted to bring Tim in the future, you could, but that's just like my whole thing about it. I don't know if you guys are understanding where I'm coming from.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm for it. I don't mind it at all.
Like Ruben says, as long as the actor they get to do Red Hood, as long as he executes it properly.
Tim Drake.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Tim Drake. Hopefully they do good. I mean, that show overall it's on season 3, so that means it's good for it keeps going, And overall, just having that quality of it being a DC show and having that darker side where there is gore, there is bad words, like it's what attracts me more to a show than, like I said it before in the beginning, like. Mm-hmm. We gotta see, people just gotta stop. I know they want to attract the kids and they want to just stay on, but like in reality, we're the ones still watching this stuff, we're the ones who want to see the actual real life. We've seen comic books and we've seen how gory and how fucked up they are. So seeing that in a show is like it brings new life to it. It brings a new perspective of it. You know, like that's why Logan is one of my favorites. Like it's the first one of the first rated R movies that came out that had so much stuff like that. So I mean, I give them props, and I'm excited for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing why I say I'm kind of puzzled or have a little bit of a dilemma is that fact of they seem at times now to only make these heroes. Okay, what makes them a hero? Oh, because they're a minority. But what about their qualities? What about their ethics, their morals?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that matters more so than that, because those are the reasons why they became a hero in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, you think of Bruce Wayne.
You can't just have a random.
Bruce Wayne became Batman because he wanted to prevent any kid from going through what he went through and preventing that trauma. And there's obviously there's a lot of things about Bruce Wayne that really kind of says the same thing too, but that whole middle ground between vigilante and hero. But then he has very heroic qualities, like in the episode where it was revealed when Amanda Waller was talking to Terry after Terry had found out that he was Bruce Wayne's biological son. When he was going through talking like, how did this happen, and she reveals that she was the one who caused that to happen, the Batman Beyond project, and talking to him about how he was there to confront Ace when she passed away and stayed with her up until that time, when he originally went in with the understanding or Amanda Waller had sent him in to kill Ace, and the fact that he comforted her and stayed with her until she died. And those are the kind of qualities that make somebody a hero. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing at all, obviously, but it's just, I think that they're kind of, a lot of, producers and studio heads, people that are leading these projects, they seem to think that those are the kind of things that just instantly make somebody a hero, when they're not focusing on the qualities. Why do they do what they do? Why do they get up in the morning? Why do they go through the training? Why do they protect people? Why do, those are the things that make somebody a hero deep down. And that's the kind of things I want them to focus on. So if they do it to where they do have a black actor playing Tim, that's fine. But what is it? What ticks him? Like, why does he drive himself to be this next Robin? Like, why does he go through what he does? What makes him a hero deep down? What makes Bruce and Dick trust him and give him their approval to, you're our next Robin, or you're replacing Jason Todd?
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that I more have issues with. Like, I think it's really cool. Because of that fact, now they're having more diverse characters and a diverse audience, but
just give them a backstory.
Yeah, just what those qualities on what makes them a hero. Why do they do what they do?
Well, that happens with any story though. I don't. That in particular doesn't factor into me. I just want them to have
You just want a good show.
A good actor, like I said. I understand the whole backstory, but everyone's gonna have a backstory. You know what I'm saying?
Well, more so, what makes them a hero? Like, why do they do what they do?
See, that's what I'm saying. So I think this might if you put it in that case, I think this might make him an even better superhero, because if he's black, he might have a tougher backstory. Tougher background, a tougher growing up process than a white dude, a white character, a white person. Because if Tim Drake, from what we know, he's not like a hillbilly kind of like redneck type of dude where he grew up in the trailer park or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if they do go with the with a black person, I feel like they have a better range of giving him a shittier backstory, and then that's gonna make him want to be a better superhero, because his background, his growing up life story is gonna be worse than a regular white person. Because I could believe that more in today's society for sure. So that's why when you put that in that factor, I kind of counter argue on that. That's my kind of argument on you, because I don't feel like the background has much to do. Well, it does. The background.
Well, I'm not really talking about the background. Just what ticks them, what drives them to be a hero. Why do they do what they do?
And that's why I factor in that it doesn't matter if it's a white person, a black person, or Asian person.
That's what I'm saying too. But as far as what makes them, like, why do they do what they do? Why do they get up in the morning and put on their costume? Why does Bruce Wayne do what he does?
So it's just
it's like for example,
it's diverting away from the ethnicity section. It's just diverting on the actual.
So that's a whole different. That's a whole different.
Like, say for example, when it was revealed.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you guys have seen the whole series, but in the first season of Iron Fist, you don't exactly know why Danny Rand came back to New York. I could believe it if it was a fact. I wanted to retake my family's company. I wanted to protect New York. I wanted to see all my friends.
Are we still asking the same question you asked in the beginning?
I'm saying, but like, so I'm saying, you know, why is this guy like? So pretty much what he says, why he came back to New York, why he's doing what he's doing, is because I saw the portal was open, so I came through. Like, that is his whole reason for being a hero, and it's just something like I don't care about. Like, I don't understand this character, his motivation, why he does what he does. It's something like I lose interest. It doesn't make him a hero, in my opinion.
So that's a different topic.
Like, yeah, because he's a white character, but I don't care why he's.
Okay,
I don't care.
That's a whole different.
Yeah, because it's the same thing, but it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, I want them to focus more on what makes this person a hero, like what compels them to do what they do, what motivates them.
No, yeah, I get
why they
protect
people.
It separates from
the only way I feel like you're gonna get that is if you extend seasons or you just do like random flashbacks that like show him going through what he's going through. That like,
well, there's little subtle ways they can do it. It's a little bit harder for a show like that, but he's probably going to be a main driving force because of that fact. He's going to take over the Titans, or Dick is probably going to be training him to take over in his place. So that's just my whole thing. Like, I just am hoping that we see more on those qualities, on what makes this person a hero.
Yeah, overall,
that's what I feel is more important than your ethnicity.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm separating from the fact of the question that you brought up. That's what I'm saying. So overall, take out the ethnicity. Yeah, overall, I agree with you on that factor. Then, like, I want them to give him no matter what they're doing, I want them to give him a good upbringing to why he became a superhero and all that stuff. You know, it's gonna be a sad story, you know, or you know, it's a not sucky story, but a sucky story for the character.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like, which introduces him to becoming a superhero. Like I said, what causes him or leads him to want to help people or want to become a, how do you call him, a vigilante. Yeah, there you go, vigilante.
Well, because he's more considered a vigilante.
Superheroes are vigilantes if you think about it.
Hero, not superhero, but hero,
yeah.
Well, heroes are vigilantes.
Yeah, basically.
But so overall, just to go back, because I know I tried to fit this in with that same topic. Maybe we got a little bit sidetracked, but that whole thing on, so you guys don't feel that this is pandering at all from, if this source is true, that this is a good move for Titans and the show.
I mean, just overall casting wise, they gotta execute it.
It's a good movie.
It does seem like a little like they're pandering just because they admitted that they are doing it for the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, especially when it was reported
but that's what I give them props for, because they're at least admitting it. They're not hiding the fact from like, you know what, we're only doing it because we were motivated by the movement. So that's good. They already admitted it.
Instead of just
instead of denying it, you know, like
I respect DC for that.
So like say they would have dropped that news, but without saying like, you know, Black Lives Matter. So then that's what I think this topic would have been like a major factor where we just been like, oh, you know what, I think you guys are just doing it because of what's going on nowadays. Like, did someone hit you up and tell you like, hey, you guys need to do this and that? But not from we know, no one did. And
because when they don't, because the other times before this happened, like you said, they announced it, so we already know they did it. But for other basic like comic related things, they don't say it, so it gives people that little space for them to think why are they doing it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Once they get into their mentality and they stick to that, that's where the backlash comes, where like you say, you talk shit.
And if they don't follow through with it, it's like I'm saying, they're just looking for the best actor to play the role, and I wouldn't take anything against that.
Because I'm with you where I do feel like it is a little bit like pandering, and I do feel like it's a good thing that they're aware, but I don't know if I give them so much credit because of that fact. They only seem to wanting to be, okay, how can we increase our views for sure? Okay, well, we'll have this character.
A different, bringing a bigger audience.
I think all I'm really focused on is that fact, what makes this person a hero? What drive, because it's going to be probably different than his comic origin, because of that fact, Nightwing is still associated with Dick. And that's why, I think that's why I'm a little bit more caring or a little bit more kind of on the fence, because this is a really great character. He has a really great backstory that's so different from all the other Robins, and he didn't get into it because of that fact. He was trying to replace Jason Todd, or he was like, oh, I'm or cocky or conceited, like, oh, I'm your new Robin now. He actually tried to convince Dick to go back to being Robin because he saw that after Jason's death, Bruce was becoming very brutal and was just being kind of was going a little bit crazy. So he had realized Batman always needs a Robin to kind of keep him at peace and kind of keep him a little bit under control. So he was actually going to Dick because he had figured out that he was Nightwing, and he was trying to convince him like, hey, you need to be Robin again. So his whole story is just really great, and he's an awesome character. So I just hope that they don't mess up any of those. And it would suck too, because if this is true, and that's not going to be on the actor that plays him, it's going to be on the writing, because that's the way that they're doing it. And that's just my whole thing. Like, I just hope that they're doing this. They do it to where they actually show us this is a kid who is worthy of being a hero, and not that fact, he's a minority, so that automatically makes him a hero. You know, that's just my only
exactly.
thing.
Yeah, nah, I feel you on that part. Yeah, nah.
But I'm excited.
I'm excited for it, and like you said, I just hope they follow through with a great story.
Yeah, so do I. But Titans season 3 has a lot of hype and a lot of build-up, so can't wait to see what goes on.
That's really good. Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
There has been some interesting updates as far as casting news. Quintessa Swindell has been cast as Cyclone in the Black Adam movie, so she's going to be the Justice Society with Dr. Fate, who hasn't been cast yet, with Hawkman, who's going to be Aldous Hodge, and then Atom Smasher, who's going to be played by Noah Centineo. So how do you guys, is this a good casting choice? How do you guys feel about it?
I need to see more into her.
She's relatively new. She had a starring role on a Netflix series called Trinkets, but that only lasted a season. That's really about it. She was in a movie, she's been in a movie called Voyagers, but that hasn't been released yet, and she's cast in a movie called Granada Nights. She was in a show called Euphoria, but she...
Ooh, okay, I've seen Euphoria, but now I need to figure out who that character she is in that show. Yeah, guys, y'all gotta watch that show. It's pretty good.
Is it good?
It's good. Zendaya's in it, too.
Yeah, Zendaya is in it.
Y'all like Spider-Man. She's in there.
I think she was a guest character on... Yeah, she was a guest character on that show. Well, but how do you guys feel overall? Like,
I mean, we can't really give that much opinion on it because, like you said, she has such a fresh history in acting where we really haven't seen her actually act the way she's supposed to. So, I mean, I could only just hope for the best. I mean, once we actually see it, I mean, hopefully the casting is good. I mean, Rock, he is a very good actor and usually always has good casting. So, I mean, it's exciting seeing a new person take the role instead of somebody we already know.
Yeah.
You know. So, I mean, I'm cool. I'm excited for it. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited for that movie too.
Yeah, same like Josh. I haven't seen a lot of her movies.
Yeah, nobody has, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't, and like Josh said, you know, The Rock, when he makes a film, he always goes all in. You know, he doesn't bullshit. You know, he wants to make he wants to make his money. He wants to make a great film for the audience. You know, for the fans. So I believe with this casting, he had a little hearsay in it, like, you know, like, hey, out of these options, you know, maybe go with this one, lean toward this one. So I feel like I'm excited for what's to come, I guess. Or not excited, I guess. Excited not the right word. I guess I should say I'm
curious to see how
it develops.
That's
what's gonna happen, but I don't feel like I'll be disappointed. I want to say that too. I don't think I'll be disappointed because I know, like I said, I haven't seen much of her, and you know, and I'm just giving her the benefit of the doubt, I guess I should say, you know, because I guess it comes more to The Rock though when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But once I see the film, and if she kills the role, then I'll just say that's on her now. You know what I'm saying? Like, thanks to The Rock, yeah, you got the part, but hey, if you got the part and you killed it, that's on you, you know, because you did a great job acting. So I'm excited, you know, I'm rooting for her, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, same here. It's just one of those things, we don't really know so much about this actress, and this character is somebody, pretty much everybody on the Justice Society is more obscure. The most mainstream character is probably Hawkman because he's appeared in the Justice League and he's appeared on a few more shows. So I would assume that the public is more aware of him than anybody, and probably Dr. Fate. So this is kind of like one of those ones that can be kind of like a test character to where we don't. Yeah. They can write her however ways they want. She doesn't have to be so accurate to the comics because of that fact. They can kind of play around. That's the cool thing about characters that aren't well known, like Negasonic Teenage Warhead in Deadpool. She really had no association with Deadpool in the comics, but it was just somebody that they threw in to kind of play around. And then now they're probably gonna write her in comics, like her and Deadpool being best friends. It's just one of those things. Like it's cool. It's cool with that fact of there's just so many ways, or they can write her however the story needs her to be, or however best fitting she's going to be in that story. And I think she seems like she's a talented actress. I haven't really seen her work, but I'm more trusting so far of the DC universe's casting choices. They haven't really been too much of a hit or miss, or there hasn't really been questionable casting updates lately. So I think it's cool, and I'm for it. It's just that matter of I just don't really know what to expect, but I know The Rock is somebody who is very passionate and very excited about this project. I think we definitely saw that in his voice and just how he was acting, his body language when they did that for DC Fandom, when they showed some of the concept art, he was answering some questions, and then he really extended that kind of warning to the other heroes of the DC universe, where he was like, the power scale is definitely shifting, and you definitely get hyped when you see those kind of things. So it's just one of those things. Like I'm not really caring so much about the other casting choices as long as I get actors who look like they fit their roles and they're talented. It's just one of those things I just tell myself, you know what, like, I think it's going to be cool. Let's just wait to see what happens. And
without a doubt, same here.
I agree. Coming out next 2 years, right?
I think so, something like that. It's coming out pretty soon.
Shazam 2 should be coming out.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of timetable changes for a lot of movies.
It's one of those things. This is obviously a black actress, so I don't really include it as something that's pandering because of that fact. This is a character that's not very known, so it isn't like a Tim Drake who has like a long-standing history with the Batman mythos. So that dynamic is obviously changing a little bit. Yeah. In this one, they can kind of just do whatever they want, and no one is really going to bat an eye. Aside from people who were probably really hardcore fans of this, but this is a character who had been around since like the 50s and is the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, who isn't like the one that we know, or is the granddaughter of that original Red Tornado. So it's just one of those things like, this is a character you can kind of just do whatever you want with, however best she's going to fit the story, and not have to worry about people being up in arms because it's not somebody that people are going to look too into or have a whole lot of knowledge about. Like if you do that with Superman or you do that with Batman or something like that.
True, that's very true.
What do you guys agree on that whole scale or that whole whole kind of thought process?
Like I always said,
it's a fresh take to it, so it's something new.
They could explore with it. Explore with it. It's like I always say, as long as they get the right actor to portray the role, I'm all for it, baby. I'm all for it.
Yeah, same here.
Bring it on.
And earlier this month, we got I'm sorry, this was actually October, but in October we got our first look at Hulu stop motion animated MODOK series with Patton Oswalt co-creating the series and voicing MODOK. It's going to be adult-oriented and pretty comedic, which is different from most Marvel properties. Do you guys like this approach and think it'll be successful?
I think it will. I felt like.
Why do you feel that?
I don't know. I probably had a dream or something, but I felt like we discussed something like this.
Who's that? Who's getting that? Who's in that? Who's the MODOK again?
Queens. It's Patton Oswalt. He voiced Remy and Ratatouille and
yeah. I know who Patton Oswalt is.
King of Queens.
Yeah,
he was
I know who
Spencer.
he is. I know who he is. I just forgot the name of the character you said. But overall, he's been in talks for a good while. I have seen a lot of reports saying to get Patton Oswalt as to be him. We know that he's a really weird, just random kind of character, you know, so it's going to be trippy to see. Like I said, it's always going to be a fresh new take. We're getting new characters from the comic book world, bringing upon live action. So, I mean, it's good to see. I don't know much about the character. I have seen a couple episodes that we've seen him in, so kind of know his, like, character-ish. And, I mean, he seems like it would be, like, a pretty funny show if they were to be in the comedic-wise. He looks very smart-ass, kind of like a lot of satire, kind of, and that's kind of like the comedy I go for. So,
Why do you like the fact that it's gonna be? You said it's rated R, right, Nick?
It definitely it's gonna be rated R, yeah.
Yeah. So and you said it's for Marvel, so I think that's another way where I think it's moving in the right direction for Marvel.
Feels obviously very Robot Chicken influence because of that whole stop animated motion going on.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Now that you bring that up, yeah. I never. I think that's the closest you could relate that to. But I think it's gonna be its own little version, you know, because it's gonna be something different, but new and refreshing. So, and just the fact that it's gonna be rated R and it's animated is something I guess we haven't really seen if you think about it, unless you know you watch Comedy Central and shit like that, you know. But I think if they keep it nice and you know top notch, something like Logan or Deadpool, to that factor where it's just cussing or whatever they want to show in that, where it's just that rated R factor, then I think that's pretty cool. I think that'll draw. I don't know if they're doing it for the adults that are just getting older now and all that stuff, so that they don't have to.
Their waters.
They don't feel like testing water. That's true. It's like, you know, the way we were talking about the previous topic, where they can explore with it. You know, see how see what their limit is to that. If they have a cap on it, if Marvel's gonna or Disney's gonna give them a cap, or just let them run loose with that whole rated R stuff.
It was something that kind of surprised me because obviously someone like MODOK is actually an acronym for mental, mobile, mechanized organism designed only for killing. So it's kind of funny that they went this route with this character, because of that fact of doing it in a comedic way is obviously something that's going to be very satire heavy. And it was actually a character I had wanted to see ever since the first phase of the MCU, when me and my friends were like, what was the next good villain we would want to see, or what would be the next good build-up for Iron Man, or just the next of the Avengers. And now we were always going back to MODOK because he's so interesting in that fact he's obviously this gigantic head on a chair, so he can't really be so physically imposing, but because of his mental capacity and being a genius and being so much smarter than everybody else, he's still going to have an advantage over most people, that fact, even though with his physical limitations. So I was really waiting on that, and then seeing that trailer, and I'm like, what the heck is... Because Patton Oswalt is a co-creator along with Jordan Bloom, so Jordan Bloom hasn't had a whole lot of credits, but he was mainly a staff writer on American Dad. He wrote like an episode of Community, so you kind of... And Patton Oswalt is a comedian, so you obviously know the tone and the direction that the series is going for. So it's one of those things, like, I think it's going to be kind of like the same thing, what we had talked about, what they're doing with Cyclone, where this is a character who's more popular amongst hardcore comic fans, but it's not somebody who is very well known in the mainstream, so it's kind of like they can kind of just play around, mess around, and do whatever they want, especially with this, because this is meant to be a comedy, it's meant to be satire, so I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be something kind of like how people were on the fence with the Harley Quinn show. Where people, like, when I first heard about it and I just first seen the trailer, I was like, oh my god, this is so trash, I'm not going to watch this. Kaylee Coco is voicing Harley. What the heck? And then actually seeing it, and it's hilarious, and there's even a lot of like kind of sweet moments or emotional moments, like especially with regards to Mr. Freeze. It's funny how we keep going back to Mr. Freeze being some of the most emotional moments in comic history, but you guys need to... Mr. Freeze is awesome, so please put some respect on his name. And so it was just one of those things, like, it was a little bit baffling for me, but I probably going to check it out because Patton Oswalt is pretty funny. I do like his work, and this show just kind of intrigues me and has me in, like, you have MODOK getting kicked out of AIM, out of his own business and criminal organization, so he's trying to settle down in suburban life and going through those kind of things with his limitations and in his powers and stuff like that. So I think it's something that kind of intrigues me, but I'm just kind of like, do we really need this? But it's also, I'm kind of curious to see how it comes out.
Exactly, the curiosity is always gonna hit, dude. Especially when, like you say, it's not something we don't typically see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
And you said you're the same, Josh. Like, it's just something that looks pretty interesting.
It looks very interesting. I like Patton also. That I've seen his comedy, and I like him, so I'm excited to see him come out, especially like as a villain too. You know, like we do like those quirky, random, just weird.
Yeah.
I like him. He's cool.
Well, the only reason I brought it up is that fact because MODOK is he can be a dark character, and obviously because of what the acronym MODOK stands for, it's funny, you only really, that was the last person to associate with the comedy, so I really hope that we do see an actual legit MODOK, but depending on how the series does, if it's successful, then we're probably not going to see that version of MODOK I want to see, but I'm more intrigued and just excited to see what the show does, because even though I'm a little bit skeptical on it, it's one of those things like, it's still going to be a breath of fresh air within the comic community, superhero community, so that's always a plus.
Yeah.
And if it's good, then that's even a more plus, like bigger plus.
Sure.
True.
So, moving on now, let's talk Snyder's JL. It was revealed it's probably going to be rated R, and it's going to be a 4-hour film with a smaller cut for the theatrical release. He actually said recently that, here's one piece of information nobody knows. The movie is insane and so epic, and it's probably rated R. That's one thing I think will happen, that it will be an R-rated version for sure. We haven't heard from the MPAA, but that's my gut. There's one scene where Batman drops an F-bomb, Cyborg is not too happy with what's going on with his life before he meets the Justice League, and he tends to speak his mind. And Steppenwolf is pretty much just hacking people in half. So violence and profanity, probably both, with regards to what the rating would be.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this? And is this something? Do you guys like the direction that this film is taking so far?
Well, damn, 4 hours? That's the one thing I almost started with.
Chopping people in half.
4 hours? That's the first thing I almost stand. They're trying to be Avatar now, or what? Like, damn, the competition.
It'd be longer than Avatar. Avatar was like 3 hours, I think.
All I'm saying is I'm glad it's not dropping in theaters, because I could take bathroom breaks, take a pause, and damn, 4 hours?
Well, it's going to drop in theaters, but it's going to be a smaller cut. It's probably going to be kind of like what the extended version for Batman vs Superman was, and then they also had that for Watchmen too.
So wait,
this guy has so much footage.
It's not gonna
like,
drop
Jesus.
until theaters are open again, then, or what? When is it?
Well, no, it's gonna be released in theaters wherever. It's gonna be simultaneous release in theaters and HBO Max that same day in March. I think March 21st, whenever that day is. It's March for sure. But obviously Cali is still gonna be closed, so
that's why
rest in peace
that's
theaters in California.
HBO Max it is, and I could take bathroom break. I could pause that stuff. I'm at the theater. 4 hours. I'm not gonna sit there.
Well, if you saw it in theaters, it was gonna be a smaller cut. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, but that's.
But overall, what do you think about?
But overall, I think it's cool. The whole rated R factor. A lot of profanity. I could see it coming from Bruce though. Batman's not surprisingly that he's gonna drop an F-bomb. I mean, I'm surprised it's barely gonna happen, you know? To be honest. And then the whole cyborg factor, I understand. I could believe that, because in the original movie, he kind of didn't like the way they were already doing things. If you kind of recall, not that he had a voice into disagreeing, but remember when he was just spying on Wonder Woman and Bruce, you know, because he was barely figuring out his powers. And he still didn't trust him.
Yeah.
And so I think that goes into that factor where I think they're just gonna go deeper into that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna give him a bigger background story.
Well, he's supposed to be the heart of the movie too, so I do think it's gonna be one of those things. Like, he's gonna be the emotional impact of the movie when you think of somebody, handsome, tall athlete who had all the success in the world, or was gonna have all the riches in life, and then when that tragic accident happened, and then being rebuilt into this all-powerful cyborg, obviously, and you kind of saw drops of that when he was conversing with his father, Silas, in the movie, when he said something about, don't people know, he said something about, don't people see the monster, and he's all like, Victor, they don't look at you like that. He's all like, I'm talking about you, and you kind of know that there's kind of that resentment because of what happened,
because of what he did to his own son,
Well, it's saved his life, but obviously, just Victor being a teenager and going through what he went through, that physical, that torment and that pain, and then just having to assimilate to a new life. Obviously, that's something that's a huge toll on a teenager and a young adult. So
yeah, that's true.
But what about you, Josh? What do you think about this new information?
For the freaking,
like the R-rated and then 4-hour movie.
I'm just excited. I mean, you got me at rated R. That's all that matters to me. Like,
when you hear a superhero movie when you hear superhero and rated R together, I think you get excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a thing for me. Like, I like hearing F-bombs. I like seeing people.
But I don't know if I like it coming out of Batman's mouth though.
I mean, we've seen it. We've
I got
seen it written in
that
the
it came
comics somewhere. Just I mean, I'm excited.
I mean, just hearing him saying I'm the goddamn Batman, that alone is enough to warrant me to never want to ever.
He's gonna say I'm the effing Batman.
I felt like that guy from.
Fucking Batman.
I felt like the guy from SpongeBob. Am I ugly? My eyes. I felt like that when I read it for the first time. But
no, yeah, I mean, they did good with the whole it being cut into like a 4-part series because you get to extend it. You know when directors film movies, the cut is actually the whole filming is way longer, but when it comes down to editing and what it can be put onto the screen, they have certain time limits on some movies. So you know that that's why we have behind the scenes. That's why we have deleted scenes when the DVDs drop. You know? So to me, this feels more like we're getting the whole complete vision of like what Justice League should have been before it got replaced.
Yeah, because honestly, that was probably just what made the movie so bad was just that contrasting styles, and you can tell what scenes were filmed by Snyder and what scenes were filmed by Whedon.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, like just trying to make it funnier, trying to make it more MCU-ish, it just didn't mesh with even though I'm not somebody who's just gonna idly stand by and praise Zack Snyder, like I do think he's a talented director, more in tune with the visuals and from an action perspective. His narratives tend to not be the strongest, but if you're gonna do this movie, you might as well have just did what was his original vision and what he had originally planned for, because having half the movie or however much was actually him and Whedon and then putting those together, it was just a nightmare, and it just was something that I didn't really take lightly, or I didn't really be so receptive to because of that fact. So it's not something that I'm excited for it. It's just that fact of with this new information, and I don't know how I feel about it being rated R and Steppenwolf chopping people in half and Batman dropping F-bombs. That doesn't really give me the greatest confidence in this movie going forward, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So you think there's like room for failure?
Well,
there's always room
for failure. But it's just a matter of it's just not something it's just not the things I want to hear when I think of a Justice League movie. And I'm not saying it has to be Marvel related. If they're gonna go a little bit darker, they can do that. But doing it so much so where Steppenwolf is chopping people in half, and Bruce is cussing or dropping F-bombs.
Yeah,
I think
they're trying too
hard
on that.
Yeah,
they're trying too hard on that because they don't have to, obviously, because we're not. Yeah, we've seen it in comics and all that stuff, but I think it just goes. I think it goes back to that topic where I think he's just. No one knows how his original cut was really gonna be.
Right.
No one knows. Only he knows.
Exactly.
So I think now that he knows he's getting the opportunity, I think he's exploring and he's going all out. So this is where
I respect that. At least he's going all in.
Yeah. So this is where I go back to that word exploring. You could do what you can, and then depending on the reaction, you could just switch it up moving forward.
Well, because overall the movies before Justice League were related to what Zack Snyder's Justice League was gonna be. So it was gonna be his storyline. So once the tragedy that fell in his family, and then Josh Whedon being the director to come in,
all the controversies surrounding him.
They changed the vision of the movie. So they had to it had to be more suited to Josh Whedon's what he knew about the original movies coming into doing Justice League. So that's why we got saying that they changed like 70% of like the movie that was actually
now was
so.
gang.
Well,
at least now we're getting that 70% plus an extra 35.
I guess that's what does give me confidence. That fact of at least it's going to be cohesive to his original vision and what he originally had planned. Than it just being a mishmash of two different contrasting directors who aren't gonna film who are just have different ideas on how this movie should.
And it continues the storyline to the characters that we already have. It continues on with Wonder Woman. It continues on with Aquaman. We already seen them. They're already settled. And just the flow with the route that they're taking, and then hopefully if this movie is a success, they're gonna try to continue that route instead of diverting to something new where they might step into.
So which is gonna draw first, the Flash or that one?
that.
This one because this one
Alright,
drops
so
in a couple
hopefully-
months.
Yeah, so this
Whatever
one's gonna
happens
give
in that
this one's gonna
movie-
give us like a little intake of what should
Yeah.
happen. In
But I
Flash.
hope it doesn't change. It doesn't. Whatever he drops in this movie doesn't change what they've already been working on for the Flash film
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't change.
No, I think
Who
they
knows
already have
if it
for-
fails?
That's what I'm
Maybe.
saying.
Maybe they'll tweak it a little.
Yeah.
Just depending on the, like you said. The
Because it's
success
still
of it.
his vision.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
think about it, it's still his vision, and he
Yeah.
can still say what he not necessarily has a say in it, but they're gonna wanna stick to his vision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I will say this though, no, if this movie does fail or if it gets really bad reviews or people hate it, you really can't blame Zack Snyder. This is on the heads at Warner Brothers because they knew what they were getting in Zack Snyder. They seen his work, obviously 300, Watchmen, the DC Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. You know what you're gonna get, and then all of this stuff coming out on this being an R-rated movie and Steppenwolf chopping people in half. You can't blame him because he was consistent to that original vision and what he originally had planned for this. So you can't fault him for it because he was making the movie that he wanted to make. If the heads at the studio gave him funding and gave him more money to go ahead and make your vision, make your movie. This is what the people want, so make it. So regardless of if it fails, I definitely don't blame him because he was just being consistent and was following through with what he wanted to do from the beginning. So you can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do respect it because he's going all in, obviously, and is making this movie so much different from what Justice League, the 2017 version was, and obviously going to be so different from all the other MCU properties. And so it's not something, I'm excited for it. It's just one of those things like when I sit down and really think like seeing Steppenwolf, well, I guess that's a good thing too because of the fact, obviously, this is somebody who is going to be threatening and imposing and actually going to cause destruction and
Put up a
Yep.
and it is going to strive all these heroes to come together to take on this threat that is going to be, that can be definitely be intergalactic.
Yeah.
Not just world, but to their
Galactic.
world, but take
Exactly.
over all the other worlds and has destroyed other worlds before. So I think it's just, I just need to see how it comes out, and I just want it all to gel together and actually be cohesive than the shambled mess that we got with the 2017 version.
Yeah, we will see. I just want that to drop already, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's,
I'm excited.
like I
For
said,
now, we
it's,
gotta wait for
Yeah, we
it.
now we gotta wait.
Yeah.
Coming up
Oh,
this
yeah,
Friday.
Wonder Woman.
So
oh yeah,
if
make
y'all
sure
got
you guys
HBO
check it out.
Max, subscribe.
That's for sure.
Or if you're in an area where movie theaters are open, then you can go watch it on screen. So,
Yeah, if they have it here, I'll be
That's
down.
for sure.
Nope,
But-
we don't have it. We don't have it.
so speaking of what was supposed to happen in the DCEU, Joe Manganiello, who played Deathstroke and was supposed to reprise his role in future DCEU movies, had this to say about Deathstroke appearing in the Batfleck Batman film that didn't ultimately happen. Give me a second, I'm pulling it up.
The Batfleck. I mean, Joe. I mean, I got excited. I mean, we only got a little cutscene of him coming out.
Well, it was supposed, there was supposed to be more.
yeah,
let
I know
me,
there was supposed to be more, but that was like the first time.
let
we
me pull it.
actually
Sorry,
got to see him
I'm pulling up the
suited.
quote that he had said. Give me a second, real quick. Sorry, I thought I had it.
I thought you did. Why don't you have it? See how prepared this guy is, guys.
I'm always
You
prepared.
think, and he's.
So what Joe Manganiello said about the canceled solo Batman movie with Affleck, it was a really dark story in which Deathstroke was like a shark or a horror movie villain that was dismantling Bruce's life from the inside out. It was this systemic thing. He killed everyone close to Bruce and destroyed his life to try to make him suffer because he felt that Bruce was responsible for something that happened to him. And that's pretty much what their original vision was, because he was rumored to be the main villain in that Affleck-driven Batman film. So, with this new news and update, what do you guys think? Could this possibly happen if the fans push for it? Kind of like what happened with Deadpool?
For him to come back, I can see it happening without a doubt.
Mhm.
I mean, I would want to see him reprise his role. I really liked him as that.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
awesome.
He killed it, dude,
Yeah.
without a doubt. So, if they make it happen, I'll be excited. If they don't, I wouldn't be surprised either, to be honest.
I feel like that's the only way Ben Affleck will still be able to be Batman.
Well, no,
If
he's
it-
still
if it
gonna
becomes
come
an
out
HBO,
in the new, and
and
he's
the
still
one
gonna
that
come
just
out.
yeah, what we're coming to now. It's like
we don't know.
He
might reprise his role in Flash. That's why.
Well, the rumor is that he's supposed to be back as Batman, so we'll see.
And then him and Michael Keaton.
He might be the mentor.
Who knows what's gonna happen? There could be potential for 3 Batmen going forward playing.
That sounds. I wouldn't be surprised if. I'd be excited, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
Well, what do you guys feel? Do you guys feel like this would have been a good movie and chances we can see it if fans push for it?
Yeah, I mean, if they already had some type of recorded already from it, where they already have already a format to start off from, they might be able to produce it in a very quick amount of time. But it just, like you said, it depends sometimes on the fan base, whether if it's called for a lot, they're like, okay, we're gonna give it to the fans and we'll bring it out. But I like Joe. I would be excited to see an actual film where he does, especially him. Yeah, I would be excited for it. I would want that. Bring it, please.
What about you, Ruby?
Well, yeah, I said what I had to say. Everything I said, I think answers what you asked.
Mr. Joe Manganiello.
Great. Well, that was the thing too. He had said when they originally shot with Zack Snyder that it was supposed to be that discussion between him and Lex Luthor on the boat, or the yacht, sorry. It's supposed to be about them talking about Batman. And that was supposed to lead into that movie, or lead into that. So, obviously, once Whedon got on, it became about them building up towards the Injustice League. So that's what made it into the final cut as that post-credit scene. So it's something that definitely intrigues me, because obviously Deathstroke is an assassin, he's a mercenary, probably the best in the DC universe, but he's somebody who, even though he doesn't really have a strong sense of morals, obviously, getting paid to kill people, but he has a strong sense of ethics and is very honorable to a warrior code, essentially. But he's somebody, if he's not getting paid, then he's not going to kill somebody, unless there are times where it's been personal. I think that's how, was it Bruce or Dick got him to quit out on a contract. They froze the assets or the money that he was getting, so he didn't kill who that they were protecting, because the money stopped coming in. So he's like, oh, no more, I didn't get paid. I'm out of here.
Exactly, yeah.
He was on a SpongeBob. I didn't get paid. All right, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. He's a mercenary.
So it definitely, but he had the Judas contract, and he's had times where he's had run-ins with people that was very personable. Dick, so obviously everything with the Titans, and season 2 was about it being of Titans of the show was actually about him going after the Titans because of them forming again when he had told them not to reband, that if they were going to regroup, that he was going to kill them all. So it can definitely fit in with this character, despite him being an assassin and mercenary. If it's something that's very personable, it sounds like it's what it's going to be. It definitely sounded dark and very action heavy, and very a fight between freaking 2 Titans. I got pretty hyped when I was reading this, and I was like, my God, why didn't this happen? And Joe Manganiello is just the perfect character for this, because he has the look, he has the height, he has the physicality, and you just really believe him as this character. When he took off his helmet, I'm just like, my God, this is I really love Manu Bennett, but Jesus, Joe Manganiello in that brief 10 seconds, whatever he had his helmet off, or just seeing him fully in costume, that's just that's my Deathstroke, because he just has the kind of physicality that not a lot of actors really have. So I really hope that this could be something to where, I'm not exactly sure how much he's gonna be in Snyder's JL. I'm hoping that he's in a good portion, or at least more than just a glorified cameo like what he did in Whedon's JL. But I definitely think if he's somebody that the fans latch on to and they like him, I definitely think if they put it's pretty much gonna be the same thing with the fans pushing for the Snyder cut, or pushing for Deadpool for them to greenlight that Deadpool movie. So it's not something that I do think is impossible. It's just the thing about Deadpool is he was easier to sell because of the whole comedic aspect, and you have Ryan Reynolds, who all they had to do, I'm pretty sure in the script or whatever for Deadpool's lines, they just said, Deadpool, Ryan, just be you. Just be you. Say what you would say, Ryan. So
and just overall,
I think that's easier to sell. And Snyder's JL was a little bit different because of that fact that the Whedon version was such trash and people hated it and people like anything would have done, anything would have done to that. A droplet of water would have been something that anybody would have wanted if you're out in Death Valley or something like that. So it's not like people had known that they were going to get something better, or at least something that was going to be more entertaining. So I think with Deathstroke, if fans push for it, I don't know. I do because of that fact of like you think of like with Deadpool, with Snyder's jail, those aren't the same circumstances, and I don't know if I can really see a lot of people being like, oh, we want to see Deathstroke. So I hope we get to see him pop up more, but it's not something that I don't think we're really gonna see because of that fact.
That's why I was saying where like, you know, I'd be excited for it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
Yeah, so same. I would be more surprised if it does happen because I'm expecting people to just be whatever about a top level elite mercenary assassin. Yeah, he's really cool and he's awesome, but to casual people, there's just not a whole lot of marketability, I think, in a character like him.
Yeah.
As far as somebody like a Deadpool. Which is actually kind of ironic because that fact he is what inspired Deadpool. So
I think it would have been better
if
they found him that role at a younger age.
Joe Magniel?
Yeah, Joe Magniel.
I think he's at the right age because Deathstroke is supposed Wade Wilson.
So what, you give him like 3 films?
Slade Wilson is supposed to be about late 50s. It's just because of that.
3 films if they give him his own film?
I think they can. I mean, he's in good shape. A lot of his stunt heavy stuff is definitely going to be all stuntman, especially all dressed up.
I think if they give him his own film or TV series, he'll last longer than Ben Affleck as Batman.
Well,
he's a couple years younger.
That'll be up to HBO.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. That's my input.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope it happens though, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of this character. Joe Magniel is awesome, and there's this I don't know if you guys saw that little trailer that they had for Batman Arkham Origins when that game came out, and they were building that up to be Deathstroke versus Batman. They have this awesome fight in the snow. It is honestly some of the best. Like one of the best fights I've ever seen. And yeah, it's obviously it's an animated trailer, but it is a computer animated trailer, but it is awesome. So if you guys check that out, like that,
the action and animation is freaking badass.
Yeah. Oh no, it is awesome, but it's bad. Like I just picture that and I see Ben and Joe fighting in the snow. Well, I mean, Deathstroke has enhancements, so has like a super soldier serum, so. He's good until whenever.
That's true.
But we hope it happens.
Yeah.
HBO Max. More Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, please listen to us. The fans want to see Joe Magniello reprise his role as Deathstroke in the future. So fans, push for them to happen because I want it to happen.
We all do. That's for sure.
But I be more.
That's for sure. Oh yeah, that's for sure. You be more rich.
So, going on to the last topic of the day. Okay, so that's all we have time for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you guys like our content, we post weekly. Make sure you subscribe because that helps out a ton. Hit that like button because that's definitely going to go a long way. Tell your friends about us. Show them our stuff. And please follow us on IG at Heroes and Mutants. Because at Heroes and Mutants podcast, and we have a lot of stuff, a lot of giveaways we're doing, and a lot of ways you guys can contribute to further discussions and topics for us. So thank you guys so much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Good one,
and we will see you guys next time.
Be safe. Thank you, y'all.